Irene. Hi, Thelma. Hi, Lisa. Good to see you guys. We are going to have some fun today. Oh my gosh. Oh, Thelma, you have to have a new roof? Oh my gosh. What kind of storm did you have? Wow. Yard full of limbs, Irene says. Wow. I'm sorry you have to have your roof replaced. That's a pain. Glad you're okay, though. That's the only thing that really matters. We carry insurance for all those other reasons. We are gonna continue today with part 2 of 101 ways with stencils. And I'm telling you, I don't even know. I mean, I have so much stuff to cover with you today, or so many things we could cover. We'll just have to see how far we get through it and what we want to do from there. But we have a lot of good stuff on the agenda. So without further ado, let's drop the camera, honey. Right on my notes here. Okay, and I'm going to start by recapping some of what we did last week and show you how they turned out. So that'll just be a good introduction to where we are now. I'm going to start with, we did some metal, we were talking about kinds of stencils, and we did some metal stenciling, and we had 2 forms of this that we did. And I think you can see it pretty well embossed there on your screen, even though everything's white. Isn't that pretty? It's actually beautiful embossing. We got this using a brass embossing stencil. Didn't have to be brass. It could be metal. It could be other kinds. You can even use a plastic embossing or a stencil with your rubber pad in your, oh, hail. Ooh. You can even use a plastic stencil with your rubber pad in your embossing machine, and you can emboss all kinds of stencils. So if you, like me, have a plethora of these metal stencils, don't get rid of them. I also showed you a light box technique last week. Now, I don't know why anybody would want to do the light box when you can run it through your machine, but we did talk about that. We talked about light boxes, and we talked about running it through your machine using metal stencils. We got a beautiful moose in the tree. We got sympathy. So let's see when we're going to do these things. All right. We also talked about using unusual things as stencils. And we pulled out a doily. We pulled out a doily, and I gave you at least a verbal walkthrough of how you can paint with glitter. I just used, honestly, this is exactly the kinds of glitter I used. I used these very inexpensive, at one time they were expensive, but you do. I have a few of these still. This is a technique that requires quite a lot of glitter, so don't use your most expensive glitter if you're doing this. You can buy like these UDs for just a couple of bucks now. They used to be like $12, $14, but now I've got them at couple dollars because nobody's doing much UDO anymore. And it's just really nice, super fine glitter. It's perfect for the job. And we put down the doily on double stick paper. We smeared in our first layer of color, and we worked it, 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 and we worked it. And then we get all the excess glitter off, air everything off we can, and we came back in with clear glitter. And this is what you get. Look at the detail. Come in even further on the detail on this. I mean, I want people to see that you can see where the individual threads are in that doily. That's using doily as a stencil. This is no longer sticky at all. And my glitter, maybe a tiny bit comes off, but not much because we've really, really, really burnished it. So this is what we get when we run glitter through a stencil with double stick tape. Pull off the doily, put on your second color. You can use any 2 colors, although the second color that you use I would not put back in your bottles when you're done because you're going to have some of the original color in it. So that becomes special purpose glitter in its own little jar. But I love that technique. It's the most fun you can have legally. Hi, Sharma. Okay, so we talked about that one last week. Anyway, all these materials that we won't need anymore. We talked about hand cut stencils using stencils from your die cut collection. And I have to admit that I made a couple mistakes online last week. One of the things I did is I layered my stencil twice, and I just cut my stencil out of cardstock. Then I layered it. Don't layer it. It actually worked way better with just one layer of stencil material. So one layer of cardstock. And this was a really, really involved stencil or die, as you can see. Well, I am very pleased with the way this one came out. I did this one after class because the one I did in class just wasn't that great. But it's just proof that you can actually stencil through, like I had two here. Here's the other one. Good. You can stencil through a cardstock stencil. And I just was curious as I was pulling this off and I had my stencil there. I thought, I wonder if you could actually use the paper stencil more than once. Here's the answer. Yes, you can. I stenciled with a cardstock stencil twice. So we had that sample. Okay. Using images as stickers. Down there. Here it is. This one we did last week. And I just peeled some stickers off this medallion sheet. It was a Dazzle sheet from hot off the press. I peeled some stickers. I stuck them on my cardstock. I used a little pedal point ink pad. That's how I got these little lines, which I love, actually. The little lines all over it. I think that really adds character to it. But I just used a pedal point ink pad and stenciled through these. Then I peeled the stencils off and you get that really neat pattern. So we did some stenciling through stickers. Then we did objects. Okay, we talked about masking versus stenciling. The truth, guys, is that they're really kind of one and the same, or at least two sides of the same coin. If I'm going to mask something off, I'm going to stop the ink from getting to the back part, the ink or whatever substance I'm using. Stenciling is pretty much the same thing. I'm putting a stencil down and I'm working through that. Many times you might call the masks the pop-outs from the stencil when it's cut. So you can have a stencil of a rabbit and then you can have the rabbit that was cut out, and both of those can act as stencils. So we didn't do this one, but we talked about it. Foam sheets, you can use just craft foam sheets, and your die cuts, and those make great stencils. We talked about doing things like hand cutting. You can hand cut stencil material, you can hand cut cardstock, you can use those as a mask. One of the things I talked about is you can get lots of inspiration sometimes from color book pages. So you can get a color book page. You can, you can enlarge it or reduce it on a photocopier, and you can hand cut designs out of that if you want to. Okay, we talked about what do you stencil on. We talked about paper, canvas, clothing. You can stencil on shoes and walls and wall decor, luggage. Imagine having beautifully stenciled luggage so that you can find your luggage easily at the airport. You can do it on wood and chipboard, on glass, metal, plastic. Sometimes bakers will use stencils to put powdered sugar on top of their cakes and cookies. You can stencil on windows, things like, remember the Christmas window wax, where you can put down your window, put your window stencils on and stamp the Christmas designs onto your windows. That window wax, you can stencil onto candles. If you have, if you're using paint that's appropriate for wax, you can stencil right onto candles. Margie stencils on furniture. You can stencil on floors. You see sports teams and stuff with kids running around with stencils on their skin. Obviously, you need to use skin-safe materials for that. But that is just a sampling of what you could do. That's what I thought of just thinking on it. Now, there's probably many, many more things that you could stencil on, but that's what I thought of last time. We talked about how to get to probably the most frustrating thing about stencils and why people don't use them is because it's hard. We perceive that it's going to be hard to hold the stencil in place, and liquids get under the stencil and ruin your design. So a lot of people, I think we've all had that experience. Not every stencil I do turns out perfectly, but most of the ones I'm doing are turning out quite good now. And the secret is that you have to keep that stencil in place while you're working. And there is a newer, no, it's not even a new product. It's a product that is new to me. I haven't used it much in the past. Now that I have, I will never go back. It's called Stencil Spray. I was using one by iCrafter called Pixie Spray. And you spray the back of your stencil, and then the stencil bonds to your paper, but just with a temporary stick. You do everything you want to do through the stencil, and then you peel the stencil back off your paper without tearing the paper. You can also use sewing temporary tack spray. It'll do pretty much the same thing. When you wash, everybody asks me, well, what happens when you're done? I mean, does your stencil stay sticky forever? I'm not going to tell you that you may not have a little bit of sticky residue on them. I don't care, because I'm never going to use my stencils without them. But when I took my stencil to the bathroom and washed them and just kind of scrubbed my stencil material, my inks or my pastes or whatever off of the stencil, most of that tack came off in the soap and water. So I believe that you could take rubbing alcohol and get rid of the rest of it if there was still any residue that was bothering you. Like I said, I won't bother because I'm going to always use them with stencil tack. But look what a beautiful job you can get if you can get that stencil held down tight. So stencil spray, there's other ways you can do it. You can do it with low-tack tape. Make sure that the tape you're using is going to release from the edges of your paper without tearing your paper up. It'd be heartbreaking to make a beautiful design and then really take the time to do a great job and then tear your paper with your tape. You can use magnets and magnet boards. A lot of people now are using low-tack work surfaces like sticky boards. You can use a peg system like Lisa Horton has, where the stencils, her multi-layer stencils, all fit over a peg, and you just put all the stencils on the same peg so that you automatically line up. One caution I would use is that if you're using low viscosity materials like glue or ink, you need to make sure that you're controlling the amount of ink you're putting on. That's going to be the surefire way to bleed into your stencil, is to get too much thin material. So if you're using low viscosity materials, thinner materials, apply your inks, pastes, whatever the substance is that you're using, apply it very sparingly. Use a dauber or sponge. You can make more than one layer, but you can't undo it if you get it all blood under your stencil. Okay? So that is how to hold your stencil in place to avoid leakage. We've been kind of working on my next section here as we've gone through by looking at all kinds of different materials. I still have some extra materials from last week that we did that we haven't shown yet. Love this one. And can you back up just a little? I kind of feel, there we go. This one I think turned out beautifully. And this one I used Cosmic Shimmer Ultra Sparkle Paste. Put my stencil down with stencil tack. And then I used a palette knife to apply my stencil material. Then I go through and pick up any extra material, put it back in the jar when I'm done. And this is what we got when that was dry. How beautiful is that? That's gorgeous. So we tried Cosmic Shimmer Sparkle Paste, I did I did some stenciling through, or I did some stenciling with glue, and I got it too watery. I got too much on, and so it didn't turn out right. So I stopped, and I just smeared the glue around with my hands like this. I peeled my stencil off and said, this one isn't going to work. I peeled my stencil off. I didn't throw my glue out or my acetate. I just smeared it around with my fingers and put my Jamie powders on it, spritzed it a little bit, and this is what I got. And I could still use this for cutting out things, cutting out butterflies, cutting out lettering, using it as a background. I really like it. It's actually quite pretty. You can see the different angles. You get really different impressions from this. And this is all out of the Peppermint Twist Jamie powders. And I think that turned out fun. So this is one side, and then it gives you two different impressions. One's a little bit more, tends to be a little bit more pearlescent, and the other's a little bit more clear. Either side that you like can be used separately. I have heard people talk about putting it on pretty thick and then peeling the layers and using the layers in some of their collage work. I think you could do that. I've never done it, but you could. So this one wasn't really stencil. It was how to how to retrieve something after a little misstep. So I did that with glue. All right. We had this one that we did last week, and I was using, this one I was using Lisa Horton Cloud 9 ink, and I stenciled this one, and I think it turned out beautifully. The amount of double sheen and stuff you get depends on how thick you put the ink on. See how I got some nice purples there in places? That purple is a reflection of the darker ink. And then it's kind of the teal. All of that is the same ink pad. So I did this one last week. Then I wanted to see, because I had ink all over my stencil, I wanted to see, could I spritz that? If I spritzed it, just the top of my stencil, I've taken my paper out underneath, but top of my stencil still all inky. I spritzed it with some water. I laid this down, and this was my second print off of that. I love this. This is beautiful. And then I did exactly the same thing. I stenciled onto black cardstock with the same ink pad. Again, one of the features of these Cloud 9 pads, and I know a lot of you got them when I was using them a lot in class. I love my Lisa Horton pads, is that you get two very different colors depending on whether you're working on dark or light cardstock. Somebody's asked me, can you work on dark colors too? And I think the proof in the pudding is right here, what we talked about, where you see where we have these purples. That's because my blue is darker there. So yes, obviously, if you go against any darker color surface, you're going to get more of the purple. If you go against a lighter surface, you're going to get more of the teal. But that's all from one stamp pad. And I love this example of getting a second print, because I think the second print's as much fun as any of the three prints I got. I love that. That's going to be great fun to use. So that was with Cloud 9 inks. Yeah. I stenciled with Jamie powders. I mixed up some Jamie powders on my board. And you can see you get all that beautiful. It looks like glitter. It's not actually glitter. It's pearlescence from the Jamie powders. You know, all that pretty pearlescence. And I like the way this turned out with varying depths of the powder. I kind of modeled it. I love that. It was not an accident that I have lighter and darker areas there. I just wanted it to be that way. I thought it was cool. So I made my Jamie powders. And then I did another Jamie powders here. This was two colors in the same. I believe this was Jamie powders anyway. Looks like it is because it's got the little pearlescence in there. But I did this one on a mini stencil. Then I thought, what would happen if I grab one of these, this is a really light banana colored glacier paste. Glacier pastes are wonderful, by the way. We don't have a lot of glacier paste left, but we do have a few colors, and I think it's wonderful to work with. This one's called Pineapple Delight. But I wondered what would happen if I did not wash my stencil from using this and put down a layer of this glacier paste in that light yellow. And you can see how much we can get it on camera here. See how we got the blue outlines around the yellow? I just thought that was kind of cool. I'm easily entertained, perhaps, but I did like that. I love this color, by the way, not corrupted with the blue, but I just wanted to know what would happen if I put the glacier paste on over my dirty stencil, and I just picked up little shades of the blue. So we did that last week. You couldn't see any of these done last week, though, so we did this last week. This is one of my favorite techniques. We did this. Before class, Bryce cut us out a bunch of vines from this Sue Wilson pack. I love these vines, by the way. They're so perfect for so many things. And I think this is still in our sale, and it may still be available. CED 1554 is the die. But Bryce cut all those out for me. I scattered them around on my piece of paper. And actually, I put tack on the back of them. I put a very light layer of my stencil spray on the back of these. Then I laid them down and kind of patted them in place. And I sprayed it with Distress Mica stain from Tim Holtz. And this one, it was a sugary gumdrop. And look at what we got. This is just one of my favorites. I love this. I love that kind of ghosted look in the background. Isn't that pretty? You kind of, when you're spraying stuff, you get these heavier and lighter droplets. I love that too. It just adds more and more character. So I get to use this. I get to use these in one of my projects because they turned out beautiful. There's no reason to discard those. I'm going to use those in a project. And depending on which one you're using and what the open spaces look like from the stencil, you can actually use the stencil that you cut these out of too. Use the paper stencil for a different effect. So it's a great way to get dual duty from your stencil material. And I love this. This is great fun. Okay, this week in the classroom, we did Jamie Powders. On Sunday, we had a whole Jamie Powders play date. Oh, it was great fun. I wish you all lived close so you could participate. These are two of the other pastes that I used I used these on the paper stencil. And these are thick powder, or thick pastes. So it just tells you can use about anything you want. Look through your cupboards. Almost everything you have that creates color could be used through a stencil. So we started with Jamie Powders. I'm just going to take a quick run through these, but I want to show you a couple of the variations. I was working primarily with stencils over the weekend. You don't have to, you're not limited to stencils. It's just what I was working with. So you get the nice clarity that I talked about on here with using the Pixie Powders. I use that stencil quite a bit because I really liked it. Look at the coloring there with the greens and the blues. I love, 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 love that. It's so pretty. I used a kind of mishmash stencil. Now this looks really weird right now, but there's a million things this is going to look good with. It looks kind of like netting, so I could put fish and stuff in here if I wanted to. But I could put this almost as a background behind almost anything, and it's going to look great. Here's another one, done with that same stencil. This is done with yellows and browns. Some of these I mix colors, some of them, when I mix up my Jamie Powders and I'm putting them on through stencils, I've got a pool of ink sitting on my work surface, and I just keep working till I use it up. Aren't they pretty? Now, this is one that, well, this one is made it was not made with a stencil. It was made by just wetting my paper and sprinkling the Jamie powders on it, working the paper till I get it what I liked, and I liked it, so I stopped. This was the same thing. Here's a different stencil with some Jamie powders just put on with a dauber through my stencil. This stencil was turning out so pretty in class, I ended up selling my own stencil. Somebody said, I have to have that. Well, we're not sold out, but I have to have that. I sold my stencil. Occupational hazard for me in these classes, but this was also done with Jamie powders. Now, this was fun. I did the stencils, and it was when I was using these with the little swirlies in it. And this was my second print. I had ink all over the top of my stencil, and I spritzed it, and this is what I got. See where I have those little pieces of that stencil design, and then it picked up the ink over all the solid areas, and it kind of looks like writing. This is another one of my favorite pieces, and this was a second print. Isn't that amazing? Don't forget to try for your second prints off the top of your stencils. You don't have to throw stuff away, grab what you can. These I thought I might do a little more with today, possibly. What would be fun with these is I already have solid designs down. This, by the way, is just using ink on my mat. I just had the ink left on my mat. I spritzed it good and smushed my cardstock around in it. And I got this beautiful piece of paper. I love this paper. But I thought it would be really fun to put maybe a clear glaze or something over the top with another design. So we might try that. So I'm keeping those out. You're getting the idea. You can use just about any kind of material you want to. If you're not quite there yet, this is my stenciling with Jamie powder. And then I put clear glaze over the top of it. I put Ranger texture gloss paste over the top of my Jamie powders. My Jamie powders were dry. And then I put my gloss right over the top of what I had already done. Isn't that pretty? Look how deep those colors became, how beautiful the colors became doing that texture paste over the top of my Jamie powders. Wowzer. 101 ways with stencils. I'm telling you, you can combine all these materials in different ways. There's no way you couldn't come up with 101 by mixing different materials. So many choices. Then I decided I wanted to try some some glass bead gel. I hadn't seen this work for a while. I haven't seen very many people use this in quite a while, but it's really a neat material. Mine's from Faber-Castell, but there's several companies that make it. And so I grabbed my steampunk stencil, and I just put down my beads. Now I had white beads on white cardstock, and I got to say it was kind of singularly unimpressive because you really couldn't see it much. And so after a while, when I was working with some of these other colors and this was dry, I went back, put my stencil back in place, and I just picked up little bits of ink on almost a dry brush. And then I came back in and painted over the top, just pulled ink into my stencil. And this is what I got. Another of my favorite pieces. So combining my glass beads with leftover ink on my mat, believe it or not. Didn't that turn out great? Oh my gosh, it's such fun. So many things we can do, guys. The sky's the limit. So let's see, have I finished everything? Here's one that's done with, I believe I did this one with Jamie powders, and then I put varnish over it. I just put varnish on it. You can also mix some of those. You can mix your varnish into, be careful if you're mixing things that are not water-based. You know, you don't want to create a toxic fume for yourself, but this was water-based varnish. And actually I think I just mixed it right into my Jamie powders. I mixed it right, and I clear varnish and my Jamie powders together, and I got this beautiful glossy design. Here's another one I did by mixing my materials. I think this time I used the texture paste, and I mixed my Jamie powders right into my texture paste. And this was one that I did. I didn't have an awful lot of ink left on my mat, but I just went for getting another one of those really modeled light designs, and I love the way that turned out too. So how's that for samples? We got samples. Let's do, okay. Last we did some glitter and we did some texture. Well, we didn't do texture grit, but I don't have any crackle stuff here. I couldn't believe that there's something I don't have in my collection. We did do pearlescent, we did translucent, we've done some metallic, we've done gilding polish, heavier bodied glazes like some cosmic shimmer. Let's see what we have. Oops, this is my already done stuff. I don't want this. Can you take this away for now? I said I wanted to try doing something that was a heavier bodied paste. Well, I tell you what we'll do. What can I use on stencils? All of the above. I can use acrylics. Maybe I'll try some acrylic paint. That's a heavier body. I still want to try some Cloud 9. I did some mixing of these Vicky Bouton inks together with my Jamie powders. Actually, I think this one may have been the white paint with the Jamie powder in it. Almost need to label them as I go. So let's do some acrylic paint. We almost all have acrylics of some sort. We've got bottles and boxes of this all over our craft rooms, I'll bet. Nobody's saying anything. Are you guys still with me? I know, I'm talking 95 miles an hour. I'm going to send you a newsletter today. It's not going to be a big old involved one. I'm going to send you a newsletter today, and in that newsletter, I'm going to put on a special on my stencils because it just seems appropriate after 2 full class sessions of working with stencils that we should have a stencil special. And I'm going to give you my document in that newsletter. If you don't already receive the newsletter, then I want you to email me at info@simplyspecialcrafts, the same website we have on our screen right there, info@simplyspecialcrafts.com. Email me if you're not getting the newsletter. I told you last week I'd put a newsletter link up, and for some reason my newsletter link has crashed. It won't let me, doesn't direct you to the right page. And I don't know how to fix that. So I'm just going to have you email me, info@simplyspecialcrafts. Send me your name and send me your email address, and I will send you this document out with my newsletter today. 101 Ways with Stencils. It's going to talk about everything we've talked about and some things we probably haven't talked about yet, because there's over 101 ways with stencils. So I will send you my notes. How's that? 4-page document that I put together in preparation for this class. So let's do some stenciling. find my stencils here. I have a whole bunch of them. We have so many beautiful, beautiful stencils in our store, guys. Oh my gosh. So many beautiful things to see and do. All right. Let's try. I haven't used that one at all yet. I really like this background here. Maybe we should try this one. So write to me, and even if you're watching this video later, if you write to me with your email address, I'll add you to our emails so that you can get our beautiful, wonderful specials that we do all the time that are only, they're only really highlighted for people who watch our videos and people who subscribe to our newsletter. So you don't want to be missing that, because sometimes we do some pretty amazing sales. I'm going to get some of these stencils out. Are you going to spray these for me, honey? Let's use both of these. I love these. This is the stencil pack I'm using right here. It's one of those Vicky Bouton ones. And I can't believe this, but you get, these just came in and we have them. You get 3 stencils in this pack for $3.99 retail. That's crazy. They're beautiful. So I'm going to send, Bryce is going to, I didn't want to sit here and breathe the fumes from the glue. You really need to use that stencil spray in a well-ventilated area, because we don't want you huffing glue fumes. So I'm going to send Bryce with these. He's, it's fine. I mean, it doesn't matter in these. So they're universal. But I couldn't believe it when these stencils came in, and they were $3.99 for 3 of them. 3 stencils in one pack, and they're A5s, the 8x6 stencils. That's a great deal. Let's see what else I want to use while I'm getting stuff out here. Ooh, I love those. It's like, how do I pick? I have so many good ones. So many good ones. I won't be done until I use them all. I'm kidding. I'd have you here all night into tomorrow. But we'd sure be looking at 101 ways. I love these. Look at that leafy swirls. Isn't that beautiful? Some of these designs have so much character in the design itself that you're using. You could make a beautiful design and then just add a greeting, put it on your, I dropped one over here. Put it on a card and just add a greeting to it. Thank you, honey. Love both of these. These are great. Oops, I don't want to do that. That's my finished designs. Stack those all up over there. This can go in the done with it stuff, please. All right. I'll get some cardstock here. Some watercolor card. You can use watercolor card. I often use watercolor. I also use my Hunky Dory paper. That's what I've got right here is Hunky Dory. So get some of each out. Did I hand you those? Oh, there's one here. And this one, if you'd spray those for me too. You don't have to use these within a certain time of using them, and they'll stay tacky. And while you're up, would you grab some paper towels, please?
I gave you a whole stack of paper towels.
You did?
You must have buried them over there.
Okay.
Yeah, right under that stack of paper.
No, they're not. Okay. And my stencil's tacky on the back. Don't have to wait for it to dry or anything. It's almost instantly dry. So I've got my stencil attached. It's not going anywhere. And let's just do some fun. Let's just do some fun stenciling with these acrylics. We got everything stacked over my garbage can, and I can't reach it. I can take my stencil brush and I can just go right to my stencil. With this acrylic, I'm saving some acrylic off the top of my lid. It's going down beautifully on here. Acrylic's a nice weight for stenciling. Beautiful. I'm just going to combine these colors, make something pretty. Hi, Kat. Hello, friends from France. Put a little of my paint right down on my... Huh?
John Denver?
We might need to get it, honey.
Too bad.
Please. I've got stuff stacked up all around me. You can imagine with all these different mediums that we're using. I've just got stuff everywhere. I do. With my stencil brush, I'm just tapping it on. Just tap, tap, tapping. Pick it up with my brush, tap it on. I'm not going to get any, or should get very little. I don't want to forecast my performance before I'm done because there's no telling. Sometimes things happen, but I am just tap, tap, tapping it right over the top of my stencil. Let's get another color here going. A little blue down too. Oh. And it's got a paper seal went up into the cap. Whoops, sorry, honey. More paint than I need, but came out in a bit of a glob. Grab my stencil brush, pick a little of that up. Tap, 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 tap. I can kind of combine my colors from here and there. It's your thing. Do what you want to do. I won't sing it to you. Bryce doesn't like it when I sing. He rolls his eyes.
Go take it out. That's what I want to do.
Uh-oh. Got paint on my brush. Oh, well. One of these is angled and one's a straight brush. The angled one works just fine. I just have to turn it the right way. Inky fingers. I've lived my life this week with inky fingers. Hi, Adeline. Good to see you, friend. Be sure you rewind and watch what we did last week, Adeline, because I know you were here and you saw us making all those things. We showed what they look like at the beginning of the video today. So be sure you do that. Anybody heard from Mary R? We haven't seen Mary on yet. I can, if I don't mind getting my brush into both. I can actually mix those paints if I want to. Get some of both on there. Get enough of a pattern made here that I can use this for something, because I want to use all these creations. They're beautiful. I like these colors together. I think it's going to be pretty when they're done. So people ask, do I leave the stencil on until it is dry? Answer is no. It doesn't hurt to let it sit just for a minute and kind of let everything settle where it's going to settle. But you do not want to leave the stencil on until you're done, or until it dries, because you're going to end up with all that paint and stuff on your stencil that should wash off easily and might not if you leave it on there to dry. So we want to keep our stencils, all our tools in good shape, so we want to wash those off. Just a little acrylic paint here. You probably have 40 jars of it within an arm's reach in your craft stash. I think we all do.
I don't.
Bryce says he doesn't. How big's your craft stash?
That's a whole bag right here.
Yeah, he says he's got a whole room here. Community property state in Oregon. Almost done. We'll stop soon. Getting a nice big pattern. Which is so often the case. The blue kind of takes over. So
Catherine's taking her friends out for some Scottish food.
Scottish food. What are likely dishes that one would have when one goes out for Scottish food? Catherine? Not haggis. Don't give me something gross. Give me something. Tell me something I might like. I don't want sheep's belly.
Suggest the Scotch eggs.
Scotch eggs. How would one prepare Scotch eggs? Irene?
It's a hard-boiled egg wrapped in basically like a hamburger.
Catherine said yes, the French eat anything. I know, you eat snails. Lauren went to France and I asked her, did you eat snails? She said, I absolutely did, Mom, and I enjoyed them. She said it's not something that she would order every day, but to be able to say she had done it, she was proud of herself for trying.
She did not enjoy the foie gras.
I can't remember what that is. What is foie gras? Is that the raw steak?
No. I don't remember what it was either. I just remember it's.
I want to get a little different effect. I can kind of tap some color here and there. All right, we've got this done. Let's see what we get, shall we? Look what a beautiful job that stencil stuff did. I love that. That's beautiful. You see, using that as a background, that's great. Okay, here we go. Hi, Truth here.
You're gonna use the other side.
I could actually do a second print. Let's try and see what we get for a second print.
Irene says you should be bold today.
Yeah, spritz it good. Make sure I have some moisture to it. So now when we do this, we're spritzing the top of the stencil we just used right over the top of the stencil.
Says she's never eaten snails. There's one for the tourists.
I'm going to tell her you said that. That's really funny. I love that, Catherine. You make me laugh, my friend. Oh, I thought I was going to get really excited there for a second. I didn't get much of a second print off of that. I'll use this paper over again, though. Didn't get much of a second print on that one. Never know what you're going to get. Okay. This has to get washed. Bryce's. Bold. In many ways, I face life boldly, Irene, but when it comes to cuisine, I I'm not as bold. I have to admit it. I like my good old American food, and I'm not real bold about eating things that seem like they should be in my garden. And I don't mean growing in my garden, I mean trespassing through my garden. I can't help thinking about snails and seeing our great big banana slugs we get out here. It just does not look like something you'd ever want to eat. Of course, if I was hungry enough, I would probably try it, but I'm not and I won't. Not that hungry, so I'm not doing it. Let's see. Bryce brought us another piece of cardstock, or brought me another stencil. There it is. Okay. Let's put this one down. Nice and sticky on the back. Although I will say it's not super sticky. It can hold to my fingers, but it's not like super duper sticky. It doesn't have to be super duper sticky to go down to our paper nicely. Irene said that tourist did not eat the snails. I think I'm proud of you, Irene. I can't wait to tell Lauren that Catherine says those are just for the tourists. That's too funny. And she's lecturing me about how I need to be more adventurous. Yeah, French don't eat it. It's just for the tourists. This paint that's been on my board is kind of thickening up a little bit, so I spritzed it with a little water. I can kind of thin it back down. I don't want to get it too thick, and I want to take, oh, there's some paper towels over there. I don't want to get it too thick. I can take some of it off, so it's almost a bit of a dry brush technique that we're gonna use here. I'm not putting too much on. Why? Because this is very liquidy material. So I'm going to go lightly, and I'm just picking up some as I go. Keep a light hand. Don't get too much. Don't pound on it.
One says the snails tasted like mushrooms sauteed in butter.
Yeah, no.
It was good.
I'm glad you liked them, Madeline. Still not doing it, but I'm glad you liked them. See, there is room for the adventurous. I'm going to grab me some green here. Another one of these. Oh, I do. A couple more of these bigger stencil brushes. Bryce's sister's going to head for Paris here in a few days. I have to use up the paint on the cap too. Why not? I'm trying to be a little bit artsy fartsy here. We'll see how this turns out. But I'm not being precise. I'm just dabbing color around in somewhat the same areas. We'll see how that turns out. I don't know. Could be pretty. After we do this one, I think we're going to move to foiling. We're going to move to foiling and gilding flakes with our stencils. This is a little thicker paint, so adding a little water to it. Water to acrylic is very natural. It's a major component in acrylic, so I don't want to have too much globbed on my brush. I'm just going to come in and tap it in. Just don't want it to be too thick. These are also, what's Thelma talking about? You go back a screen and see what she was talking about. We always learn a lot from Thelma. Her suggestions, Sharma too. All you guys are offer great suggestions. And anything you're burning to add about working with stencils, Thelma? If you do, chip in, friend. You know I never mind that you jump in and give some tips, because
Lisa had asked, do you have tutorials on scoreboard usage? Mine cardstock keeps cracking.
Okay. First thing, I got one that I don't even have to do a demo to tell you, Lisa. There's a couple things. First of all, not all cardstock is made to be scored. So you can get some cardstock, especially the really heavyweight stuff like the 110, that no matter what you do, it's going to crack or feather to some degree because it's just not made for scoring. Another thing I would say is that if you spritz your cardstock lightly, then when you're pushing on it, the fibers will stretch better. I would go as far as saying spritz it on both sides, not heavy, just very lightly, just to add a little mist to each side of your cardstock. And that will help loosen the fibers up a little bit so they bend more easily. So try that with the cardstock that's cracking and feathering. And then it's just like the perfect time to say Adorable Scoreable by Hunky Dory is made with a special film over it. It's nice heavy cardstock. It's 300 GSM, which is over 100-pound cardstock. But it's made out of a special material. It's got the paper fibers, and then they put like a microfilm layer, micro thin layer of plastic over it. And that ensures that it won't crack or feather. You get absolutely clean score lines. So some of it is the paper, and some of it is you need to maybe try spritzing a little bit, loosen up those fibers a little bit. I'm going to put a little bit more blue in here and there. Got some pretty light blue in places. I might have to do one more wild thing here. These are peacock feathers, sort of peacock feathers. So I might have to add just a little splash of color. Maybe to the middles. Oh, you can put it through. You can absolutely put the pattern cardstock through any of the hunky dory adorable scoreable. Now, Matastic is a horse of a different color. It's a little it doesn't have the plastic sheen to it that adorable scoreable has. That's my number one go-to, the adorable scoreable with the light sheen. That's my number one go-to for scoring. But you can definitely take a little of the extra. You can definitely score on Matastic too. Okay, I have to see what this looks like. You know what I really, really want to do, and I don't know if I have the courage to do it. What feeling like I really want to do is spritz it with a tiny bit of water, just a tiny bit, and sprinkle glitter over the top.
I've got it all over the floor.
I've got it all over the floor, the glitter.
Yeah.
Oh, I always have glitter all over the floor.
Oh, you have a pile.
I don't have glitter on the floor right now.
You do too.
Look at. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. You know how easy that was. That wasn't any. I mean, there was no funny business there. That was just rinsing. We can use the back of this one we used before. Let's try and see if we can get a second print off of this. Don't know what we're going to get. Spritz it good. Let's rub it down. Yeah, the Mother's Day card that you got just maybe a little too heavy. You can try spritzing it, but some cardstock just does not score as well as others. Oh, I got like nothing off of that one, guys. Looks like a good candidate for a Jamie powder piece of paper where I'm going to put color all over it. Okay, Bryce is taking these stencils right off to the bathroom for me to protect my stencils and keep them in good shape. Get that paint off of them. Okay, we're done with acrylics. Now, and so heavier bodied things. You notice that we could thin it a little if we wanted to. And that helped, but just yeah, I pretty much just use these almost right out of the bottle. Okay, Mickey Boot and paste or paints. We've done another one. Let's look at this one we did a little bit ago. Yeah, that's dry now. Isn't that fun? Beautiful background. All right. I think it's time to do some gilding flakes. Some gilding flakes and some foils. So let's do some gilding flakes and foils next. I'm going to get my cardstock out here. If you use a brayer instead of your hand, that's a good idea, Thelma. I even had a brayer, I think, here. I'm not sure. Probably have one in my applicators box. Thelma says I need to try a brayer instead of my hand. So that's a good thought. Okay, let's do, I'm going to get over here. I'm going to get out some. There's different things you can put down to make the paper tacky. I'm going to use this time a stencil paste called Tacky When Dry. I do not have this in the store today, but it will be here shortly. It's on order. This is called Tacky When Dry, and it's just a stencil paste. And I should have sent these with you, honey. I didn't. Do we need them again? Sorry. Not making good use of your trips.
No.
Okay. So I'm going to use Tacky When Dry on a stencil. And what do we want to foil? Let's see. Oh, we have. Oh, that could be pretty. That could be really pretty. I have this foil here I've been wanting to try. Okay, I've got my leaves stencil that Bryce prepared for me. It's got sticky, or it's got stencil tack on the back of it. Just to save paper, I'm going to move over a little bit to the edge. It's a 4x8 stencil. I can probably get 2 on here if I'm careful. The prayer's also helpful. I love that, Thelma. I love that. That's great. That is fabulous. Okay. I'm going to get out. One of the things they say from their company in terms of keeping your materials in just tip-top shape is not to leave the bottles open. They actually have this little palette. You can also use wax paper. They have this little palette they've prepared, and they say scoop out some of your material, scoop it out, and put it on your palette, or you can go right to your stencil with it, and close your jar back up. Don't leave your jars open. That's one of the lessons from TCW, the craft workshop, who is the maker of lots and lots and lots of stencils, and they make the stencil butters, and they make this particular Tacky When Dry material. So I'm just putting on a fairly liberal amount. I want to make sure I get it all over my stencil, all over throughout all the holes. There's other things you can use too. You can use flaking glitter glue. Thank you, honey. You can use flaking glitter glue. You could use the best glue ever. If you want to use the best glue ever, I recommend that you have the best glue ever cleaner available, because it is a messy stuff and that cuts right through it. So you might want that. I'm going to get my other scraper here, come clear across here in hopes of making sure that I cover every possible area of my stencil. It's beginning to look good. We'll be able to tell anywhere I didn't get it though. Okay, got that. Now, when I peel this off, I'll be able to see the paste on my cardstock. We're going to let that dry for a while. Honey?
Your dog's not happy with you.
I know my dog's not happy with me because I'm being a pain. So I actually want to do a few. Maybe I should reuse this. Let's see. I can. I'll use this again before you go wash it. Sorry, now that I got you up. I'm trying to save you steps. And I have a few different substances I want to use. Okay. And I've got my sometimes these scrapers are really, really useful for putting down some of these things over stencils. Open my jar back up and get some more substance. You see what Selma said a minute ago? She was saying a brayer would be useful if I was, instead of my hand, for putting the paste down. But when she said brayer, she said prayer. And then she said, well, I meant brayer, but prayer helps too. I love you, Thelma. You crack me up, my friend. So many of you do. We have just the best senses of humor in this group. So I got to tell you guys what I like to do when I have a Jamie class. Oh, I think I told you last week. I don't need to tell you that one again because I told you last week. I told you on Wednesday. Never mind. We have fun. So I'm putting down my sticky when dry. When it's opaque, it is wet. When it's dry, it's clear. That's how you can tell what you got. Okay, that went down nicely. I'll peel this. And let's see if I've got another piece of card here. Running out of cardstock. Ooh, this is next. Okay. Opaque when it's wet. Clear when it's dry. Depending on how long that takes to dry, I may ask Bryce to get a heat gun after it because you can cheat a little. I'll put this one down on black. That should be fun. Double-sided tape is great. Absolutely great. I think I actually have a piece or two of double-sided tape here. Already on cardstock. I just have to figure out what I did with it. I got sticky drying on my board. My cardstock was sticking to my board. Thing with double-sided adhesive and using that as a background for your foils, it can be great. Don't get me wrong. It can be absolutely wonderful, and I agree with you, Sharma. It's actually probably one of my favorites. But depending on the tape, some tape doesn't release real easily from your stencil. And that can be an interesting challenge. But just like everything else, no, not all tapes are made the same. Get one area filled in and empty another area. think that's pretty good though. White when wet, clear when dry. I'm going to go ahead and send this with you. That'll give us 3 samples for foils and gilding flakes and gilding sheets. Nice thing about these little palette sheets is clean enough to breeze. Not so much my desk, but the sheets. Breeze. Let's see if I have some card stock. Adhesive on cardstock already on this pile. Oh look, that'd be fun to do while we wait for those to dry. Baby wipes. I can't craft without them. Yeah. The tacky when dry is great stuff. I also have some Ranger sticky embossing powder on the way. It's basically, you can do the same thing. You're just putting down your embossing ink, and then you sprinkle your embossing or your sticky embossing powder on it, and you heat it, and that creates a sticky background too. I've used that a lot over time. 101 ways with stencils, guys. So many neat tricks. Let's see. Let's see what I've got over here in this stack that I'm kind of thinking I had some. I do. Here we go. Looky here. I've got some cardstock on background. All right, let's see. What do we want to use for stencil here? Wheels right here. Let's try Sharma's way. Have this floral one here. And try Sharma's pattern on this. See how this tape does. Sometimes you just have to experiment and find out how it does. Put it there. The beautiful thing about this is we don't have to wait. I can push this right down over my tacky tape. And let's get some kind of foil to use on that. How about this one? This is deco foil. This one I'm using, or trying to use, is called Glass Slipper. Take a little finagling to get it back in the tube. When I foil with deco foil, I want to put the pretty side towards me. The side doing all the work is the back side.
Lisa wants to know if Teddy's going to make an appearance today.
We can do that. Teddy was over here before class ever started, trying to get up in my lap. We were out here last night. We had a group in, and Teddy was, well, it's not sticking all the way around there. And just really burnish this down. There we go. Now I'm getting this to stick. Really got to burnish it. Ouch. It's almost like a blister under there. Creating a blister. Teddy is just quite the socialite when we have people in the classroom. He goes from person to person all night long. And Sandy came back to get something back by my desk. He came racing, ripping back with her, looking expectantly. And she said, Teddy, do you need something? Do you need something out of this drawer? And she got him a treat. This is not working as well as I would have liked. This isn't a real fresh piece of tape. I might have to try it with a fresher piece of tape. This one's been in my stuff a while. Yeah, it's not getting down in all the crevices. You know what I needed to do? It just dawns on me now. It's actually pretty what we did, but what I needed to do was to put that through my my cutting and embossing machine with a plate. That would have done it. We can still try that. Let's try that again. Let's put this, honey, through the die cutting machine over there. Rubber mat. I have gilding flakes too. We'll try that too. This is a cold foiling material though, so it should work. Huh?
You have a rubber mat for the little one?
Yeah. So just feed this through and we'll see what we get with this. We're going to try another one here. Let's try it with gilding flakes, as long as we're waiting for our stuff to dry. Let's try another sheet here. Maybe my sheet just wasn't sticky enough. It's possible. We'll try some gilding flakes this time.
Rubber mat go on top or the bottom?
Underneath. Okay, so this big old sheet. Let's do part of it. Find a stencil here we want to use. Might be shells for the stencil. That was a little too big for this. I'll use this one. Oh, this is much more sticky. That may have just been an old piece of glue. This one's way more sticky. Try putting some flakes on there. I have these pink ones. Let's try that. You don't want to sneeze when you open this. These are called Aurora Flakes by Cosmic Shimmer. This one is a combination of silver and pink flakes. I'll burnish them right into my design. But that's wet.
Sorry.
Wow. I'm able to use most of our flakes here, except the ones that stuck to my table. A little pinch goes a long ways. Let's go ahead and I have a little brush here in this box. If I can reach it. I actually have a sponge. I don't have enough room. I'm going to burnish it a little bit with a sponge. Let's get it way down in there. Pick up all the flakes that aren't accounted for and burnish those right into the tape. What you burnish off looks a lot like glitter. Okay, you ready for the reveal? Can we get the stencil off? Okay. Yeah, the stencil isn't easy, but we're getting it. But that's beautiful. Here's the stencil. Now we need to put something else around the edges so that we got to use something else over the other glue. What do I want to use? Hello. Yeah, some clear glitter here. A glitter trace full of other stuff. I'll try to behave myself, but there's no telling what I'll do here. Oh, my glue cap's broken.
You dropped it on the ground.
Oh, did I?
That's how it's done.
Oh, that's how I got the glitter you were telling me about.
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm going to put some glitter flakes, or some glitter, down over this. Ooh, soft. Pretty.
Sharma says she makes a lot of dragonflies and butterflies like this. She can add other color.
Way too much glitter. Burnishing it on. Tap it off. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. What do you think of that, guys? Sharma, good technique. Good technique, friend. Look at that. That's beautiful. Now, I'm going to cut this off of my sheet. Wow, that's gorgeous. Look at that. Wowzer, wowzer, wowzer. So I would tap this off a couple times. I'll burnish it with my hand a time or two more just to get rid of any excess flakes, and I might even run a baby wipe over it lightly to pick up any excess glitter. But man, that's beautiful. Yeah. I'll reuse that. I'm going to put that as background for something else. Let's see. Need another stencil. Yeah, this one. This dragon or this butterfly's too big. So we'll need to get washed off. But not till we're done. I mean, it's not like it's going to hurt it. This is some super good tape here. This is that Sulang tape. It's probably some of the Score tape. I think Score uses Sulang. It's very, very tough. So I was worried for a minute if we'd be able to get the stencil released from the paper, but it seems to have worked. How am I doing for time?
In a half hour.
Okay. I think I especially want the parts of this that have the flowers. I think that'll be especially pretty with the pink. So let's put down some more. Some more pink. We have these Aurora flakes in a lot of different colors. They're just beautiful. Flakes back up onto my work surface. No, these can be used over and over and over and over and over. I have stencils that are 20 years old. That's a beautiful thing about stencils. No one and done with these. Wow, that's pretty. I need a little more. So much artistic stuff can go into stenciling. You don't think about stencils as being an artist medium, but it absolutely is, because you can do so many fun things with layering and other things. In fact, I'm just looking at this thinking, man, that watercolor paper that I did, putting some of this color over that watercolor paper that I did would be fabulous. A little messy, yeah. Best things in life are messy. I do believe I have a Swiffer tacky cloth in the top. I'm not positive I do, but I think I have a Swiffer tacky Swiffer cloth in the above the washing machine, which would probably help immensely with cleanup after this. Yeah, since I've already corrupted this white with my...
You're going to use your sponge to break?
Yeah, actually I should have done that. Thank you. Just to make sure we get it all. And I'm not going real hard. I'm just using the sponge to kind of lightly push it in further. Okay. Stencils are not likely to be damaged by pulling them like I just did. They're more likely to be damaged like when you're cleaning them if you fold an area over. You want to be careful about the pieces not folding over as you're cleaning. Because if you bend them, that area isn't going to want to work as well. So you want to be careful that you're respecting all those little loose pieces. This is a grand idea, Sharma. I love it. I'm just using the white instead of another color since I've already got the white out and corrupted. I don't want to introduce another color into the mix at this point. Oh my gosh. Look how beautiful that is. Isn't that gorgeous? Good thought, Thelma. Very good thought. Thelma says, you think when your creative juices are low and you just need kind of a jump start, get out a stencil and just start saying what if and play with it, because there's so many things you can do. I think you're getting a feel for how many things you can do. I think there's at least 101. Now, if I were crafting on my own, because I really, really, really hate to waste any of my materials, I would probably keep working this and use up as much of this as possible. Since I kind of overdid the clear glitter here, I'm going to probably toss this because I can't put it back in my bottle because it's corrupted.
Just hand me the whole tray, please.
Yeah, I got to put that in something else. Okay. Carefully by the air conditioning. All right. I'm going to try and clean up my desk just a little bit. I may, Charm, I just have to find a container to put it in. May keep that. Just got to find a container to put it in because it's beautiful. I save most everything. Actually, I try to use it up. What I've got out of my packaging, I try to use it up while I've got it out. Wowzer, I'm really pleased with those. Those are gorgeous. And that's basically the same principle we were using doing it with the doily, remember? You know, you put down the doily or the lace. You can do that through lace too. Lace is beautiful. You can see the front of me right now. I am totally covered in glitter. It's just my sparkling personality coming out, or my wisdom glitter. It's my wisdom glitter. Okay, now, what do I want to do next? I have these two stencils back here too, honey. All right, I want to show you something I've been working on. I have time to start it. Let me see. Let me look at my list here before we go on. All right. Acrylic, watercolor, gouache, chalk, fabric paint, fabric pens, candle paint, mister through a stencil, mica stain. Hey, that would be a fun one to do, just a mister through a stencil. We didn't do that last time. Let's do that one. I might have to get my cardstock I still have here. Oh, there's some. Let's do a mister through the stencil. I've got quite a sparkly belly. That is absolute truth. Ooh.
Here.
Look at you. Wow.
Stencils, please.
These are so pretty, guys. Oh my gosh, I just can't get over how beautiful they are. Okay. I've got a tacky stencil. I'm going to put it down, and my mister is almost sure to have a little extra glitter on it. Looking around at the misters I have available, I have this one I used before. I have 50,000 colors, but let's use the one that's sitting in front of me. This is a pearlescent mister, so I'm going to shake it up every time you use this. You're going to want to shake it. Not because there's anything wrong with it, not because they're old, just because the pearlescence settles out. And you can tell you're beginning to get it when you hear the little ball rolling around in there. Okay. The mister through a stencil. Not doing real heavy because the ink is a lighter weight material. I don't want it going under the stencil. Just want to
Green says you have a sparkly belly.
I do. I do have a sparkly belly. Look at what a good job that sticky spray does, guys. Oh, that's beautiful. Isn't that pretty? Mister through a stencil. And we've done that one. I will do a really messy one like this for a while. It won't quite so brace labor intensive. If I were out here working by myself, I'd have a big tray of water in front of me. And as I used all these materials, I'd drop them into the tray to keep everything fresh and cleanable. But we're in the camera area, and I'm going to show you these tacky when wet, sticky when wet. You can see it's making headway, but it's still largely wet. Can't really tell as well on the white. When Grace comes back, we'll have him take a heat gun and see if he can speed those up a little bit so we can do some more with our foils. I'll get back to my 101. I just want to repeat that if you're not getting the newsletter right now, and I know we'll have 100 and some people look at this later. If you're not getting the newsletter to be able to get my 101 Ways with Stencils, send an email to info@simplyspecialcrafts.com. Just info@ in our web address, simplyspecialcrafts.com. I'll add you to our newsletter list, and I will send you the announcement of the I can see why, Sharma. I will send you an announcement of the stencil sale, and I will send you my 101 Ways with Stencils. Okay. Let's see, gel mediums. Will you please take the heat gun and see if you can dry these? It's usually in the back window. Hopefully it's there. Don't trip on the trimmer. Okay.
Your first one.
What?
What you want me to dry?
Oh. I want all three of them, but I don't know if you'll get them all done. Bring me one when you have it done, if you would, please, because the I'd like to get at least one or two of those done during class. All right, next. Oh, I don't know if we got it up here. I don't know if the flocking got up here. We have some UDO flocking in the store that is like a fraction of what it used to be. Flocking's coming back, by the way. I'm seeing companies at the retailer training that we did this week. I'm seeing companies bringing flocking back. Now, flocking, depending on what you're using, the little fibers in the jar, that can be as messy as glitter, maybe more. But I have some flocking in the store that's sold in big sheets, and it is marvelous for cutting it. You cut a piece of flocking the size of the sheet you're using. It's adhered to a sheet, lightly adhered to a sheet. You cut out the right size, you flip it over, you burnish it, and the fibers stay on your sticky material. So I wanted it upstairs, but I'm not sure it got up here. I don't see it in my materials. Oh, let's try. Well, he's doing that. Let's get another one of those glitter sheets out. Probably kill me here soon. But we have this. And we have, right. We have mica. Let's use some mica through a stencil. It comes in lots of different forms. I've got it in lots of different forms. So I've got Perfect Pearls mica. I've got Cosmic Shimmer mica. These are a little bit bigger flakes. I've got Hunky Dory Prism powdered mica. I've got frosting powder. I've got distress micas. So all of these possibilities are yours with mica. What is this? I gotta make sure what I've got here. Distress, Tattered Rose. This. I'm going to use Weathered Wood and Tattered Rose. And with this, my preferred applicator is like a makeup brush. So we've got our sticky down. There's my applicator box over here. Look left, Debbie, look left. Don't you fall. Don't you fall. Okay. So I just want something to I think we're going to have to do a third week, guys. I hope you're not getting bored. But next week, I want to do a multimedia layered stencil for you. Because that will be fun. Let's see, we need another stencil. How's it going, honey? Okay? It's still too big for this project. Come on. My foils are sticking to the adhesive on my package tops. Oh, that could be fun. I have another one that's kind of a shell pattern. That might be nice. Let's do Let's do that one. Oh, let me do that. I want to look at this one that we ran through the embossing machine. Oh, there we go. There we go. It wasn't sticking enough. Remember, it wasn't sticky. But when we ran it through the embossing machine, uh-oh. Darn it. Now, remember when I said sometimes your stencils might not want to release from the paper? That's what I got going here now. I'm just going to have to be a little insistent with it and see if I can get it going. I'm not one and done with stencils. Let's see what we can do. Lift this up. Yeah, the one thing about putting it through the embossing machine is that pressure caused it to adhere even more to the background. And it does not want to release. I'm going to have to play with this off camera because I don't want to spend your time trying to get that off. If I can get it off nicely, I'll show you next time. Okay, let's do this one though. We did find that we could bond the foil better to the stencil using the embossing machine. Then the question is, can we get it off? I don't know the answer to that yet, so we'll check that out. I'll check it out and bring it back and show you what I ended up with. 101 ways with stencils. Let's try. You got one of them, honey? Okay. Boy, these are tight lids. They're still sealed. It's still sealed. That's why it's a tight lid. There we go. Now this is mica powder. I'm going to put the mica powder on the stencil with my makeup brush. That's what this is. It's like a dollar store special makeup brush. It's just a very I'm tapping it on. Tapping, tapping, tapping over my adhesive. Brush, brush, brush. Tap, tap, tap. Pick it up off my table too. Write to me at simplyspecialcrafts.com to get my 101 ways with stencils worksheet. That's pretty good. We'll try it. Okay. Running out of time though. So I can put my mica powders right over my adhesive stencil. This is another one of those that doesn't, it's got older adhesive on it. It's been sitting in my drawer for a while, so it may not want to pick up a lot. But if we can get the idea, then we will. These stencil or these adhesives on the roller, I think always best used shortly after you pull them off the roll. mica. I think we're going to have to do our. I really wanted to do foiling this week, but I think we're going to have to do our foiling next time so I can finish this, and then we'll be back for a third week of 101 Ways with Stencils. I hope you guys are finding this useful. Another thing I could have done with this, if I didn't want to use the colors here, are going to end up being too close in color. But if I didn't want to use two colors of my mica, I could have used my embossing pillow to kill the sticky around the. Actually, it's going to have kind of a shabby chic look to it. I think I'm going to like it, but we'll see. One bad thing about using cheap brushes is they sometimes lose fibers, which this is doing. Especially where I'm kind of mushing it, but you can get the idea. Mica powders. It's actually over all the sticky now. I have to pick the fibers out of it, but it's no longer sticky. And you can see I've got to pick a couple fibers out of there. If I decide to, maybe I'll leave it in there. It's very rustic looking. But anyway, mica powders. You can do that. And how are we for time? We are there. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. We'll see you Wednesday for What's New Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern. We will be back next week with part 3 of 101 Ways with Stencils. If you're not on the mailing list, email me your name and your email address to info@simplyspecialcrafts. I'll add you, and you can receive the 101 Ways with Stencils plus the sale notice. It's 1 o'clock. I gotta go. Good night, Gracie.